time is now 4:30. I would like to call this meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, is there any public comment on agenda items other than land development or rezoning? You will have 5 minutes. You do not need to state your address, but please state your name and write your name and address on the sheet in front of you.
Okay. John Groh, former Mill Creek supervisor, currently Mill Creek Township auditor, one of three. I'm glad to see that I don't have to come at the end of the meeting to ask the question, because I see that somehow this is going to be resolved here today, and that is the status of the employment of Treasurer Mark Shahasky. I see that there is a separation agreement, which means after this thorough investigation that was going on since January, nothing was found that was worthy of termination, so it's not a termination. Am I correct on that? Or that's a personnel matter you don't want to discuss. Separation usually means that there's an agreement, we're letting him go with this and that and this and that, whatever it might be, I don't know, and I probably won't even know the terms of it, okay? But obviously, something happened here where he's not being terminated, okay? Am I correct on that, Counselor?
You're correct, Mr. Groh. He's not being terminated, but it's a mutual agreement.
Okay, mutual agreement, okay. So he did nothing wrong here that would warrant termination.
It was a personnel matter, and we're not commenting on the specifics.
I knew that's where we were going. I'm not an attorney, okay, but I've been through these things, you know, as a supervisor here too, and I know how these things work, so I'm familiar with them. I'm glad to see there's some resolution to it, and hopefully there's a fair agreement for him. Chances are we as the taxpayers, we paid him, what, $32,000 so far to the end of the month. I don't know what the rest of the agreement is. In time, it'll come out. Just unbelievable. There's an old saying in the military and in some forms of government, no good deed goes unpunished. That's what we have here. Anyway, I'm glad it's coming to a resolution there. And I see that we're going to be appointing a new treasurer. And welcome, Melanie. As you recall, when we brought you on board from the Sewer Authority, we knew that you'd be taking over in Mark's role, and I know you'll do a great job at that. Okay, so you have all my confidence, and I know that you'll present well-budgeted matters before us and tell us everything that's going on. Right? Thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
Anyone else public comment on agenda items other than land development or rezoning? Okay, moving on. We have the approval of the minutes. We have minutes that have been reviewed from April 9th, 2024.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
I have a motion made by Mr. Ouellette and a second by Mr. Bach. Any discussion? Okay, Mr. Ouellette, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Motion carries. Next on the agenda are the approval of the bills.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion was made by Mr. Ouellette and seconded by Mr. Bach. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Ouellette, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes. Motion carries. Next up, we have bids and quotations. First on the list is going to be the vehicle lease request from the Mill Creek Police Department. To speak on this is Mr. Carter Mook. Sorry, Chief Carter Mook.
Thank you, Mrs. Claire. I'm seeking approval to lease 16 police vehicles, 11 of those for investigations and administration, and 5 for frontline patrol. The 2024 budget for police vehicles was set at $382,000, and previously I had requested and was granted board approval to purchase 5 Chevy Tahoes to replace old frontline patrol vehicles, and the cost for these 5 new Tahoes was $364,094, which left less than $18,000 to work with to address our other vehicle needs. Now, the 5 patrol vehicles that are being replaced all currently have between 131,000 and 149,000 miles. One of those had a transmission failure recently, which cost the township in the neighborhood of $7,000 to repair. Elsewhere in MPD, we have an aging fleet of vehicles that are assigned to investigations and staff. Several of those are recycled frontline patrol cars, so they're pretty tired when they come off the patrol line and are assigned elsewhere. 12 of these vehicles are at least 10 years old, and 10 of these vehicles are between 12 and 20 years old. Enterprise Fleet Leasing had spoken with the township previously, and in late 2023, I was requested by the board at an executive session to restart discussions with Enterprise concerning their fleet leasing program. I also took it upon myself to discuss locally with Champion Ford the possibility of some financing of our vehicle needs due to the high number of old vehicles, which are unreliable and it's sometimes costly to maintain. Champion Ford did not offer any financing for municipal fleets. So Enterprise is my recommendation to solve the immediate vehicle needs for MPD, because purchasing 11 new cars this year, plus the new 5 patrol Tahoes, is just not possible. So in addition to the 5 Tahoes, which I'm recommending a lease with Enterprise for, I'm also recommending approval for the lease of 3 Chevy Malibu sedans with lights and sirens to replace the following investigations and staff vehicles. Car 18, which has 129,000 miles, 9 years old. Car 33, a 12-year-old vehicle. Car 31, a 12-year-old vehicle. I'm also requesting approval for the lease of 6 Chevy Equinox SUVs with lights and siren to replace the following investigations and staff vehicles. Car 26, which has 138,000 miles. Car 32, which is 12 years old. Car 39, a 15-year-old vehicle. Car 28, a 19-year-old vehicle. Car 29, a 12-year-old vehicle. And Car 37, a 14-year-old vehicle. I'm also recommending approval for the lease of 1 Chevy Equinox with no lights and siren to replace Car 40, which is a 17-year-old vehicle. I'm recommending approval for the lease of 1 full-size pickup truck with no lights and siren to replace Car 58, which is a 17-year-old vehicle. Enterprise has indicated that the costs for the above leases will be between $240,000 and $250,000, which is under our budgeted vehicle amount by between $132,000 and $142,000 this year. So we have a savings, and we also solve significantly our issue with our aging fleet. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chief Mook. Any questions for Chief Mook?
I have a couple questions. Chief, for the vehicle that had the transmission failure, when did that happen? Do you know?
This spring?
Just this spring?
Yes.
And the township, had paid a dealer to fix that car.
I don't know who fixed it, but it was fixed. It's back online now.
So why did we dump $7,000 into it if we knew we were replacing it with a new vehicle?
Our new Tahoes are not arriving until between April and June of this year. We did not want to run a vehicle short for that long.
Okay. And as far as, I know you weren't in your current role, several years ago, but why weren't the unmarked cars being replaced?
They were. Unfortunately,
regularly,
at the time, there was frontline patrol cars that were coming offline, and they were being assigned to investigations and staff. And back then, the frontline patrol cars didn't have 130 to 150,000 miles on them when they were coming offline. They were around 100,000 miles. It's just not practical to pull a car off frontline patrol that has 150,000 miles on it and expect it to last several more years in a role of investigations or staff.
So, but if leasing wasn't an option, let's just say it wasn't an option, what would be the plan to replace the fleet?
Well, I would guess that a new vehicle would cost around $30,000, so buying that many vehicles would cost in the neighborhood of $500,000. It's just not practical or possible for the township to be able to afford that under the budget.
Okay, and I know you said it's under budget, but Melanie can probably answer this. This is going to be an ongoing cost, correct? In other words, yes, we're under budget for this current year, but this is going to be a continual payment, right?
Correct. And what I did is I did a cost analysis to look over the next 5 years, the cost of what it will cost us to lease these vehicles over that 5 years, and made sure that it would come under the actual purchase price of purchasing one brand new. So it won't cost the township any more than if we were able to turn around and purchase these Tahoes or start replacing vehicles 5 every year to get back on a good schedule.
Okay, so, but this year we're leasing 16 vehicles
Correct.
total.
Correct.
And then you're saying the plan is to lease 5 every year moving forward?
No. What I'm saying is if we started to get on a replacement plan of replacing 5 every year to match what we're going to be able to do here with leasing, then the cost will not be any more to us than what we would have if we would have purchased them outright.
And at the end of the lease, do we own the vehicles, or it's just a continual
It'll be a
turning back in,
continual-
right?
Yes, and basically the credit that we get from the vehicle, once Enterprise resells, the credit comes back to the township and acts as a, in our favor.
Correct.
As a
There'll be
credit
a
on the
value
account.
associated with each vehicle when we go to turn them in. And then this way it gets us on not 14, 17, 19-year-old vehicles that could possibly be breaking down. It would get us on a better replacement schedule for the fleet.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Chief Moak? Okay, do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
I will second the motion. Any discussion? Mr. Olet, how do you vote?
Yes?
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
I vote no. I think we should be paying cash for these vehicles and not leasing them.
And I vote yes. Motion carries. Next up, we have cellular-enabled tablets from the Planning, Development, and Code Enforcement Department. Mr. Waldinger.
Thank you. Good evening. The 2024 Planning and Development Capital Budget included a line item to replace the aging Windows Surface mobile computers that are used in the field by code enforcement officers. $7,000 was budgeted for 3 new tablets that would be compatible with the software that we use to manage cases. Earlier this year, a decision was made to change and switch over to the new inspection platform that is being utilized by the Mill Creek Fire Department. And this platform is web-based. This change meant that the more expensive Windows Surface tablets would not be required for field use, and more affordable Android or iOS tablets could be utilized instead. The Code Office has obtained a quote for 4 Samsung Galaxy Tab Active 5 cellular tablets from our mobile provider Verizon at a cost of $658.99 each. Hardened field cases for each tablet are $19.99 each from Amazon, which would bring the total cost for 4 tablets and cases to $2,715.92, which is a significant savings over the hardware that had been previously required. Furthermore, the inclusion of cellular capability in the tablets will allow my department to retire the mobile hotspots that were necessary for the old units to communicate, and the current cellular plans for those hotspots will then be transferred over to the new tablets. I would recommend the purchase of these tablets utilizing funds from Planning and Development's capital budget tablet replacement line item.
Thank you very much. Any discussion? Okay, without any, I'll call for a vote, call for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, a motion was made by Mr. Olet and seconded by Mr. Bach. Any discussion? Mr. Olet, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Yes.
I also vote yes. Motion carries. Next up, we have the Manufacturers Association membership. And I will be speaking on this. For about a year, the majority of Mill Creek Township leaders committed themselves to investing in Mill Creek's biggest asset, our employees. One of the aspects important to investing in employees is through development and training. Hence, the township has been exploring professional development and training opportunities offered throughout the area for classes in leadership, supervision, safety, productivity, planning, computer programming, human resources, personnel, and professional growth. After recommendations from other organizations and research of other classes offered throughout the area, the township has found that the Manufacturers Association to have many valuable resources. It is the recommendation of TEAM, T-E-E-M that is, which stands for Together Empowering Employees in Mill Creek, to purchase a membership to the Manufacturers Association for $859. That is the price for organizations between 101 and 200 employees, which would give Mill Creek Township access to endless resources, free classes, paid classes, membership pricing, as well as a network of human resource, legal, and safety consulting. The purchase of the membership will be paid by the 7 departments' training budgets at $122.72 per department. Any questions on the board?
No.
Okay. And will at that time then ask for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay.
I'll second.
Motion was made by Mr. Olet and seconded by Mr. Bach. Any discussion? Okay, Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
And Mr. Olet, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes. Motion carries. Next, we have toolboxes for the Public Works Department and the Fleet Maintenance. And for this is Mr. Donikowski.
Thank you. Good evening. The garage is seeking approval to purchase 3 each workbenches/toolboxes from the Warren Company. These boxes and workbenches will be used to organize welding materials, hydraulic fittings, and tools owned by the township in our garages. One quote was received from the Warren Company for a total delivered price of $5,550. These boxes were chosen for their quality and the fact that they're manufactured right here in Mill Creek. Funds will be taken from the Warren Company toolbox line of the garage's capital budget, leaving a balance of $1,950, and I recommend this purchase.
Thank you very much. Any questions for Mr. Donikowski? Okay, seeing none, do I have a motion?
So moved.
A second?
I'll second.
Motion was made by Mr. Olet, seconded by Mr. Bach. Any discussion? Okay, Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Olet, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes. Motion carries. Mr. Donikowski, you also have the East Gore Lift Station project bid results and award.
Yes, on April 4th, a public bid opening was held for the East Gore Pump Station project. 3 bids were received. Shivers Construction with a price of $499,993. Consul Construction with a price of $538,000. And XL Excavating with a price of $432,000. There is currently $347,329 remaining in the East Gore capital line, and the remaining $84,671 will be taken from the contingency line of the sewer department capital budget, leaving a balance of $115,329. I recommend awarding this contract to XL Excavating for a price of $432,000.
Thank you very much. Any questions for Mr. Donikowski? Okay, do I have a motion to approve the East Gore Lift Station bid result?
So moved.
You have a second.
Motion was made by Mr. Olet and seconded by Mr. Bach. Any discussion? Mr. Olet, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes. Motion carries. We have the Bell Valley Pool Garage Door in the Park and Recs Department, and to speak on this is Ms. Marsteller.
Thank you, Mrs. Clear. The Parks and Recreation Department is seeking approval for the installation of a motorized garage door for one of the entryways of the Bell Valley Pool. The project was budgeted for in the Parks and Recreation capital budget at $20,000. A quote was requested from Miller Overhead Door for this installation. They quoted the project at $9,470. This quote comes in under the solicitation of quotes threshold of $12,600 and also leaves the capital budget surplus of $10,530. It's my recommendation to approve the installation of the motorized overhead door at the entry of the Bell Valley Pool for $9,470 by Miller Overhead Door.
Thank you very much. Any questions for Ms. Marsteller? Okay, do I have a motion to approve the garage door?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion was made by Mr. Bach and seconded by Mr. Olet. Any discussion? Okay, seeing there is none, Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Olet, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes. Motion carries. Now the Millfair Compost Center paving project bid results and award from Ms. Stutzman.
Thank you. Good evening. The CRS department is requesting to award the Millfair Compost Center asphalt resurfacing project to Lindy Paving in the amount of $83,568. Lindy Paving was the lowest bidder that submitted a sealed bid on March 28, 2024. This project will allow for new asphalt over a 4,170 square yard area within the boundaries of the Millfair Compost Center property. There is an attached map, and McCormick was the other sealed bid that came in at $88,519.50. It would be my recommendation to accept the proposal from Lindy Paving for the Millfair Compost Center asphalt resurfacing project. This was a budgeted 2024 capital line item, and this is also eligible for 100% reimbursement through the PADEP 902 grant.
Thank you very much. Any questions for Ms. Stutzman? Do I have a motion to approve the paving project at Millfair?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion was made by Mr. Bach and seconded by Mr. Olet. Any discussion? Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Olet, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes. Motion carries. Moving to number 7 on the agenda, new amended ordinances under review. To speak on this is Ms. Caparosa.
Thank you, Mrs. Clear. There are 2 items that are identified on the agenda and a third one that just is informational for everyone that will be on future agendas. But the subdivision and land development ordinance has completed the final review, as I've mentioned in the past, and I believe engineering is working to schedule a meeting internally to review the final draft, and we'll coordinate that time, and then eventually it will be referred to the Planning Commission. The other amendment is to Chapter 55, Article 3, which concerns reimbursement for services and materials. As discussed previously, this chapter currently provides specific authority to recover funds for volunteer fire departments. And since we've added the township fire department, we're looking to consolidate that process for volunteer departments and to allow the fire department to also recover funds. And we're also now looking to include the same ability for the ambulance that was acquired by the township. A draft has been prepared and has been circulated for review, and we're just waiting on final comments. And the final item that's not on the agenda is that the zoning ordinance is also been referred to the Planning Commission for review and comment and to provide any recommendations for amendment. It was most recently adopted in April of 2022, and so we felt that it was time for them to take a look. The Planning Commission will be accepting comments at their meeting next week, Mr. Waldinger.
Yes, May 7th.
And eventually that will come to, any recommendations they have will come to the Board of Supervisors, and there will be a public meeting on that and a public approval process as well. That's all I have on that.
Thank you very much. No action is required, right, Ms. Caparosa?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you. Next on the agenda is a resolution 2024 R8, 2024 Arbor Day proclamation. And to speak on this is Ms. Stutzman.
Thank you. The official proclamation reads, whereas in 1872, the Nebraska Board of Agriculture established a special day to be set aside for the planting of trees, and whereas this holiday, called Arbor Day, was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska, and whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world, and whereas trees can be a solution to combating climate change by reducing the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cutting heating and cooling costs, moderating the temperature, cleaning the air, producing life-giving oxygen, and providing habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable resource giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. And whereas trees in our city increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community. And whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. Now therefore, the Board of Supervisors, Township of Mill Creek, Erie County, PA, do hereby proclaim April 28th, 2024 as Arbor Day in the Township of Mill Creek, and we urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands. And further, we urge all citizens to plant trees to gladden the heart and promote the well-being of this and future generations. Dated the 30th day of April, 2024.
Thank you very much. Any questions for Ms. Stutzman? Okay, hearing none, do I have a motion to approve April 28th as Arbor Day in Mill Creek Township?
So moved.
I'll second.
A motion was made by Mr. Bach and seconded by Mr. Olet. Any discussion? Hearing none, Mr. Olet, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes, motion carries. Number 9 on the agenda, Resolution 2024 R9. Ms. Caparosa.
Thank you, Mrs. Clear. Before you is Resolution 2024 R-9, which is a resolution to approve the disposition or the disposal of certain municipal records maintained by the police department that are reaching the end of their retention period under the State Municipal Records Manual. The records to be disposed of include motor vehicle recordings and body-worn camera footage, including test recordings from March 31st, 2024 through March 15th, 2024. Those have a brief retention period of 30 days for those test recordings, 60 days. And traffic stops for those that have reached the end of their retention period from January 1 of 2024 through February 14th of 2024. Incident only and special circumstances footage from March 30th, 2022 through May 15th, 2022. And also the disposition of certain case reports, arrest reports, and SRR unknown type reports from April 30th, 2004 through May 15th, 2004. Those have a 20-year retention period. So my recommendation would be to just approve the disposition of those records.
Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Caparosa? Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion was made by Mr. Olet, seconded by Mr. Bach. Any discussion? Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Olet, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes, motion carries. Resolution number 10 on the agenda is Resolution 2024 R10. And to speak on this is Mr. Waldinger.
Thank you. Yeah, this is a resolution agreeing to sign an agility agreement with PennDOT. The agility agreement allows either PennDOT or the township to share equipment. For example, if there was a piece of equipment that the state had that we could use, we would enter into an agreement to share that in exchange for services on our end or vice versa. It should be noted that this agreement is just the framework to allow those types of swaps. Each swap would be subject to a work plan and an individual decision on whether it was equitable to the township and the department or not. This just serves as the framework for those agreements moving forward.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Waldinger? Okay, do I have a motion to approve the agreement with PennDOT?
I'll make that motion.
And I'll second that.
Motion was made by Mr. Olet and seconded by Mr. Bach. Any discussion? Okay, Mr. Olet, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes. Motion carries. Next on our agenda, we have the sidewalk deferral agreement at 5300 Lancaster Road. Go ahead, Mr. Waldinger.
Thank you again. Yes, the developer of a single-family dwelling at 5300 Lancaster Road, the developers are Han Nguyen, Viet, and Tuan Pham, are seeking to defer the sidewalk construction for the project. Stormwater management will also be deferred until a sidewalk is required. There are currently no sidewalks on this side of Lancaster and Zimmerly Roads. In front of you is the typical sidewalk deferral agreement signed by the parties, and everything is in order, so I would recommend that the board grant this sidewalk deferral.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Waldinger? Okay, hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the sidewalk deferral?
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion was made by Mr. Olet and seconded by Mr. Bach. Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Olet, how do you vote?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Motion carries. Number 12, non-substantial amendment to the land development plan, Erie Starbucks, KDP Erie LLC developer. And to speak on this, I believe, again, is Mr. Waldinger.
Thank you. Yes, this is for the Starbucks that had previously been approved, land development that had been approved for near Wegmans on Route 20. The developer, KDP Erie LLC, is proposing a non-substantial amendment to the recorded plan for the Starbucks. The amendment will shift the building 10 feet to the north, will reduce some of the impervious surface by approximately 200 square feet, and will remove the need for a heated water enclosure, what's known as a hot box for the Erie Waterworks. The changes do not impact their post-construction stormwater management plan design or their best management practice plan. So it is the recommendation of the township engineer to approve the request as it meets all of the requirements of section 12548 of the code for a non-substantial amendment.
Great. Any questions for Mr. Waldinger? Okay, hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the amendment to the land development plan?
I'll make that motion, Kim.
I'll second.
A motion was made by Mr. Bach and seconded by Mr. Olet. Any discussion? Okay, Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Olet, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes. Motion carries. Next, number 13 on the agenda is tax appeal settlement from Macy's Department Store at 5800 Peach Street. And to speak on this, I believe, is Ms. Caparosa.
Thank you, Mrs. Clear. This is a tax assessment appeal settlement involving the Macy's property at the mall, which is located at 5800 Peach Street, bearing tax ID number 33142-667-46.05. In this particular case, the Board of Tax Assessment Appeals decreased the property's assessed value from $5,697,000 to $4,137,548, and the property owner filed an appeal in November of 2020. The tax years at issue are 2021 through 2024. And the property owner and the school district have agreed upon the following assessed values for the property for those years. For 21, the assessed value would be $3,172,160. For 2022, it would be $3,036,220. For 2023, it would be $2,652,030. And for 2024, it would be $2,353,630. We are still waiting on the final settlement document from the school district's council, but we recommend approving this settlement pursuant to our standard settlement agreement in these matters and authorizing the solicitor's office to execute the settlement agreement as that is recorded with the court.
Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Caparosa? Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the tax appeal agreement?
So moved.
Second.
Motion was made by Mr. Olet, seconded by Mr. Bach. Any discussion? Mr. Olet, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes. Motion carries. Number 14 on the agenda, Glenwood Park Low Pressure Sewer Project Agreement with Greenman Pedersen, Inc. And I believe Ms. Caparosa?
Thank you, Mrs. Clear. Yes, this agreement would be with GPI related to a sewer project along Glenwood Park Avenue. Some additional questions have come up prior to this meeting, and so it would be my recommendation to table this agreement, approving this agreement until the next meeting so we can clarify those questions.
Okay. Do I have a motion to table the Glenwood Park Low Pressure Agreement?
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay. Motion was made by Mr. Olet and seconded by Mr. Bach. Mr. Olet, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes. Motion carries to table. 15 on the agenda, the Erie Golf Course Broker Agreement from Golf Property Analysts. And speaking on this is Ms. Caparosa.
Thank you, Mrs. Clear. As you know, we previously filed a petition with the Erie County Court of Common Pleas Orphans Court Division seeking leave to sell the Erie Golf Club. And as you know, we received a favorable ruling from the court granting our petition. The township had the course appraised and is now in a position to move forward with marketing the course for sale. Before you is a proposal for an exclusive right to sell agency agreement to market for sale the golf course from golf property analysts. They are very well qualified in the sale of golf courses, and under the terms of this agreement, the township would agree to pay golf property analysts 6% of the accepted sale price at the time of closing, and the broker would also be entitled to a commission if the sale price is $750,000 and $1 to $900,000, a bonus of $15,000, and if the sale price is greater than $900,000, it would be a bonus of $25,000. Also included with this proposal is an agreement, the township's standard addendum that includes our additional terms such as right to know and sunshine law, and that specifically relate to municipal entities. These agreements have both been signed by the golf property analysts and it's just waiting for approval by the township. It will be my recommendation based on conversations with Director of Parks and Recreation that we approve this agreement and move forward with marketing the property for sale.
Thank you very much. Any questions for Ms. Caparosa? Okay. Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the agreement with the golf property analysts?
So moved.
I'll second.
A motion was made by Mr. Bach and seconded by Mr. Olet. Any discussion? Okay, Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Olet, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes. Motion carries. Next, we have the number 16 on the agenda, Mill Creek Golf and Learning Center Course Maintenance Agreement with Premier Turf Farms. And is this going to be covered by you, Ms. Caparosa?
It's me again.
Okay, all right, I went. You're a frequent flyer tonight.
Tonight I am. Yes, before you is an agreement with Premier Turf for the turf maintenance at the Golf and Learning Center for the 2024 season. The township has been working with Dan Olson of Premier Turf since 2018 at the Golf and Learning Center, and we're very much looking forward to continuing that relationship. The total cost of the services provided under this contract is $13,700, which is an increase of $600 from last year's contract, which is a reasonable increase as we have added some additional services. Those additional services relate to top dressing the turf of the greens and the driving range in October. Based on the recommendation of the Director of Parks and Recreation, Ashley Marsteller, it would be my recommendation to approve this agreement. And this is our standard agreement that we've had with them in the past.
Great. Any questions for Ms. Caparosa or Ms. Marsteller? Okay, hearing none, is there a motion to approve the agreement with Premier Turf Farms?
So moved.
I'll second.
A motion was made by Mr. Bach and seconded by Mr. Olet. Any discussion? Okay, Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Olet, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes. Motion carries. Number 17, Wolf Road Force Main Project Reimbursement Agreement with Fairview Township. And to speak on this is, again, Ms. Caparosa.
Thank you, Mrs. Claire. Before you is actually back up. The township recently completed the Wolf Run Force Main project, which benefits sewer customers residing in Mill Creek Township and Fairview Township. Before you is an agreement between the Fairview Township Sewer Authority, whereby the Fairview Township Sewer Authority will reimburse Mill Creek Township for a portion of those costs associated with the project for Fairview's portion. The total cost of the project was $1,799,237.59. And the Fairview Township Sewer Authority has agreed to reimburse the township in the amount of $999,476.48 that is to be paid over 4 quarters in equal amounts of $249,869.12, beginning with the second quarter billing period. My recommendation would be to approve this agreement.
Thank you very much. Any questions for Ms. Caparosa? Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
I'll second.
A motion was made by Mr. Olet and seconded by Mr. Bach. Any discussion? Mr. Olet, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes, motion carries. On the agenda for number 18, we have Erie County Emergency Operations Plan. And I believe here to speak on this is Ms. Shallon Anderson from our Code Enforcement Department.
Good evening. Before you is actually the Mill Creek Township Emergency Operation Plan. That has to be proclamated every 2 years, that it gets turned over to the county. So this is our in-house plan.
Thank you for the clarification on that. I called it the Erie County Emergency Operation. This is the Mill Creek Township Plan that gets
Yes.
sent to the county.
Yes.
Okay,
So
thank
we're
you.
required every 2 years to do a review and update of the plan. Over the last couple months, I have done the review, made a few minor changes and corrections to the plan. It has been reviewed by Erie County and by our solicitor's office. So it is my recommendation that we promulgate the 2024 Emergency Operation Plan for Mill Creek Township.
Right. Any questions for Ms. Anderson? Okay, hearing none, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
I'll second.
A motion was made by Mr. Bach and seconded by Mr. Olet. Any discussion? Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Olet, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes, motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Anderson. Number 19 on the agenda, MPD Grant Award. To speak on this is Chief Mook.
Thank you, Mrs. Clear. The PA Commission on Crime and Delinquency has awarded Mill Creek Township $200,000 to fund the continuation of the MPD COAST program. The COAST program has transformed the way the police department responds to persons in crisis or suffering from substance use disorder, and we are contacting on average over 50 citizens per month since the start of the program. This funding will allow for the program to continue at no cost to the township for another 2 years, and I highly recommend the acceptance of the award.
Great. Any questions for Chief Mook? Chief, we do have someone in place right now who has been working with some of our mental health residents. Is that correct?
Correct. That person's an employee of UPMC Safe Harbor, and he's been doing a fantastic job.
That's exactly what we have all heard. I know that the officers as well feel that they are more empowered having him there. So thank you very much for continuing this grant. I would also like to thank Patrolman Perkins for all of the work that he has done in order to ensure this grant opportunity. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
I'll second.
A motion was made by Mr. Olet and seconded by Mr. Bach. Any discussion? Mr. Olet, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes, motion carries. Number 20 on the agenda, the U.S. Department of Justice grant applications. Ms. Caparosa, Chief Mook is going to be speaking on all of the grant applications. Are we able to vote on those as?
Yes, I think that's fine.
Okay, all
We do
right.
that often with the bulk purchases when it's multiple police department ones.
Pardon me?
He speaks on all of them, and then we'll vote on them as
That sounds great. Is that okay with you, Chief Mook?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
We are in unprecedented times where there's a tremendous amount of grant opportunities available to government entities, and there are 4 police-related grant application periods that have opened. First, the U.S. Department of Justice COPS Accreditation Grant. Up to $250,000 is available per agency to provide for physical facility updates as necessary to meet accreditation standards, and the grant will provide funding for the full salary and benefits for 1 MPD officer to be assigned full-time work on the accreditation project. I highly recommend that grant funding opportunity. Next, the U.S. Department of Justice Community Policing Development Micro Grant is open for application. Up to $200,000 over a 24-month period is available to fund MPD becoming involved with the Erie Police Athletic League in Mill Creek Township. This unique funding opportunity will allow the police department to strengthen its connection to our school-aged juveniles via community-based policing. Next, the U.S. Department of Justice School Violence Prevention Program grant application is open. This grant can provide funds to law enforcement agencies for training to prevent student violence against others and staff. We would propose that funding of $35,000 be sought to train our full department in ALERT, which is the most up-to-date active shooter training available to law enforcement in 2026. There is a 25% match requirement by the township. And last, the U.S. Department of Justice COPS Hiring Program grant application is open. This grant would provide funds to hire one additional new police officer for 3 years of base salary and benefits. Anticipated outcome of this federal program award would be implementation of changes to personnel and agency management in support of community policing and increased capacity of the agency to engage in community policing activities such as the Erie Police Athletic League program. There is a 25% match requirement for this grant. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions for Chief Mook?
I had a quick question, Kim. Chief, for the last one, the funds for the officer for 3-year period, what happens after the 3-year period?
That particular grant period would end. And if there's additional funding opportunities available, we would certainly seek those out. There are, I think, 7 officers who are entering our drop program this year, and they are anticipated to retire no later than 3 years from now. So if the grant funding is not extended, then we would be able to relieve ourselves of that additional person via attrition, via retirement.
Thank you. You answered my question. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Chief Mook. Any other questions? Okay, do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
A motion was made by Mr. Olet and seconded by Mr. Bach. Any discussion? I guess if there's no other discussion, I just wanted to, again, commend your department, Chief Mook, for the record amount of grants that have been applied for, and the grant application process that you have been taking very seriously. You're right, this is an unprecedented time, and I think the last 2 years we've secured more funding in grant because of our grant applications than ever before. So thank you for your leadership, and thank you to all of those that are taking part in this.
Thank you.
Okay, we will call for the vote now. Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Oh, we already voted, but okay.
No motion. There was a motion.
I'll vote yes.
And then there was discussion.
Okay.
I'll vote yes.
And I vote yes. Motion carries. Number 21, Household and Hazardous Waste Event Reimbursement Grant Application.
Thank you. The Mill Creek Special Collection Event will be held on Saturday, May 18th, 2024, from 9 a.m. to noon at the Millfair Compost Center, located at 2301 Millfair Road. The event must be pre-approved by the PA Department of Environmental Protection and is eligible for grant funding through the Household and Small Business Hazardous Waste Collection Program. Mill Creek Township will file a 3-part application consisting of the application for registration, which happens before the event, and 2 that follow the event, which are the record of operations and the application for reimbursement. The grant will partially reimburse the township for the following expenses: employee staff time and employer costs, food and drink for volunteers, and contracted services in the form of tire removal and recycling. In total, Mill Creek Township estimates that our application for reimbursement will be approximately $1,725 from this HHW grant. On the first part of the application, supervisor and notary signatures were required for Part 1, and due to recent changes in grant reporting procedures, the educational expenses incurred will be funded directly through a PADEP pass-through grant. So we will apply for the PADEP 901B grant, but that will be through the Erie County Department of Planning.
Great, thank you very much. Any questions for Ms. Stutzman?
None here.
When is the event again, Ms. Stutzman?
Saturday, May 18th from 9 to noon.
And that is at Millfair.
That is at Millfair.
And yes, and you can find more information online and our magazine.
Yes, our magazine online, we sent out postcards.
Okay.
There is a rush at 9 a.m., so if you want to skip the rush, I would recommend coming around 10:30 or 11.
That's right. Yeah, I remember that from last year. There was a line outside.
Yes.
Or out down the road.
Down
so.
Millfair Road.
But yes, come at 10:30.
Yes.
You're not going to miss anything.
Right.
Okay. All right. That sounds great. Thank you very much, Ms. Stutzman, and thank you for the grant application. Okay. With that, I will ask for a motion to approve.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
A motion was made by Mr. Bach and seconded by Mr. Olet. Any discussion? Okay, I'll call for the vote. Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Olet, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes, and the motion carries. Next, we have number 22 on the agenda. This is a memorandum of understanding with the Jefferson Educational Society for the EGRA Multi-Municipal Collaboration Grant. And with this is from the Administration Department. The Jefferson Society is seeking Mill Creek's support regarding signing an MOU between the Jefferson Educational Society and Mill Creek Township. The MOU serves the purpose to collaborate the Jefferson Civic Leadership Academy, called the JCLA, and to make an application for EGRA's multi-municipal grant. The JCLA has been funded by the Erie County Gaming Revenue Authority with the Multi-Municipal Collaboration Grant since 2015. One important step for the grant application is signing an MOU between collective partners such as the Jefferson Education Society and Mill Creek Township. This is a collaboration that has been going on since 2016. The Civic Leadership Academy now has over 220 graduates, and with a positive outcome of change-making projects addressing critical topics such as blight, Erie County economy, the opioid crisis, poverty, and the future of work. This is at no cost to the township. And I will say one of the JCLA Academy graduates, I believe, is in this room. Is that Mr. Sam Peterson, our communications coordinator? So, yes, thank you so much for being involved with it. We're happy to have a memorandum of agreement to support. So it is my recommendation that the township agree to the memorandum of understanding with the Jefferson in support of the grant funding that will be coming from EGRA. I'll make that in the form of a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
A motion was made by Kim Clear and seconded by Mr. Olet. Mr. Olet, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes, and the motion carries. Number 23, agreement for legal services from the Zoning Hearing Board. And this is by Mr. Matt Waldinger.
Thank you very much. The Zoning Hearing Board was notified by their solicitor on April 18th that there was a conflict with the applicant involved in the April 24th hearing, and the solicitor would be unable to represent the Zoning Hearing Board. The board asked for the assistance of alternate counsel, so I contacted attorney David Rhodes to advise the board. He had provided similar services to the ZHB in March when there was a previous conflict. I am asking the Board of Supervisors for formal approval of the engagement letter I signed on April 24th for Attorney Rhodes to represent the Zoning Hearing Board in this matter. Attorney Rhodes' fee is $200 per hour, which is the same rate as the appointed ZHB solicitor, and I would recommend approval of this agreement.
Any questions for Mr. Waldinger? Okay, do I have a motion to approve the agreement for the Zoning Hearing Board legal service?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
A motion was made by Mr. Olet and seconded by Mr. Bach. Mr. Olet, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes. Motion carries. Number 24 on the agenda is the separation agreement with Mark Staszewski. To speak on this is Ms. Caparosa.
Thank you, Mrs. Clear. Before you is a separation agreement between the township and Mark Staszewski. Mr. Staszewski has specifically agreed to these terms and has already executed the agreement. This agreement was mutually reached by the parties, the terms of which include converting Mr. Staszewski's paid administrative leave to unpaid administrative leave, effective the close of business on 4/30/2024, which is today, with his employment at the township ending effective July 13th, 2025, and the termination of all other benefits effective 4/30/2024. The township has also agreed to modify the general employee's pension plan relative to the authorized leaves of absence time period. My recommendation would be to approve this separation agreement, which, as I mentioned, has already been signed and agreed to by Mr. Staszewski.
Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Caparosa? Okay, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
I'll second.
A motion was made by Mr. Olet and seconded by Mr. Bach. Any discussion? Mr. Olet, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes. Motion carries. Number 25 on the agenda, the appointment of a township treasurer and assignment of the treasurer's bond. It has been brought forth from Diane Lyons, the Human Resources Administrator, and from the Administration Department for promotion approval for Miss Melanie Page. Melanie was hired as the Assistant Treasurer in 2018. She has over 20 years of finance experience in the public sector, including the CFO for the Mill Creek Township Sewer and Water Authorities, the CFO for the Safe Harbor Behavioral Health and Assistant Director of Finance for the City of Erie. She has a BS and Associates in Business Administration with an accounting focus. It is the recommendation that Ms. Melanie Page be promoted to the Director of Administration and Treasurer effective May 1st, 2024, with a salary of $95,000. I will ask for a motion to approve or questions. Okay, motion to approve.
Ms. Clear, I think also as part of that was also to authorize the assignment of the bond and that Ms. Page be added as a signatory to the bank accounts.
Okay, that is not inside of my agenda packet.
I believe that was a supplemental one that came out this afternoon from,
Do you have something that you can read for that?
yes, it's very brief. It would just, in addition to that, requesting the, as it's on the agenda, assignment of the treasurer's bond to Ms. Page. It's assigned to the position, but now that she's being promoted to that role, we need to move that to her. And then also requesting approval to add her as a signatory on the bank accounts. Okay. And there's a whole list of the bank accounts that are approved at the beginning of the year.
Okay, so this would be a motion to approve the promotion to Director of Administration Treasurer and also for the assignment of the treasurer's bond and to act as a signator.
Yes, as those are all related to her role as treasurer.
Okay, so that would be that would be the motion.
Yes.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
I'll second.
A motion was made by Mr. Olet and seconded by Mr. Bach. Any discussion?
Seeing clear?
Yes?
One more item, I'm sorry. Was this retroactive pay?
Pardon me?
Was it retroactive pay?
Yes, there's retroactive pay.
Okay, and is that part of your motion? I don't recall, I apologize.
You know what? It says a salary of $95,000 and it will be retroactive. It does not say that here, but it will be retroactive as of January 2nd.
Okay, just wanted to clarify.
Okay. All right. So a motion to, I'm going to restate it and ask for a new motion, just so that it's very clear. Okay. A motion to approve the promotion of Ms. Melanie Page to Director of Administration and Treasurer at a salary of $95,000, retroactive to the beginning of 2024, and to also be the assignment of the treasurer's bond and a signator. Do I have a motion to approve all of that?
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, motion was made by Mr. Olet, seconded by Mr. Bach.
I have nothing now further.
Thank you. Mr. Olet, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes. Motion carries. Congratulations, Ms. Melanie Page.
Thank you.
Yes, we are better. We are good with you here. Thank you very much. We appreciate all that you've done and continue to do for us. I think all of the directors can say the same. We're very appreciative of you and all of the work that you have done for the township and continue to do.
Thank you very much.
Okay, next we have communications. We have up first, Treasurer Communications. Ms. Melanie Page, your first act as treasurer.
And I don't have anything further.
Great job.
Thanks.
Next up, we have a hiring request from Parks and Rec Department, Ms. Marsteller.
Thank you. And if I may, can I make another communication following
I was
that
going
request?
to have you do that after the training request.
Wonderful.
Yes,
Thank
or after your hiring request. Go ahead.
Thank you. So the Parks and Recreation Department would like to hire Richard Petrie as a seasonal part-time park maintenance employee for the spring and summer season, and also Richard Perello as a seasonal Mill Creek Golf and Learning Center maintenance employee. Both employees would be hired at $17 per hour in accordance with the board-approved wage scale. Both employees' wages have been accounted for in the Parks and Recreation operational budget. It would be my recommendation to approve the hiring of Richard Petrie for seasonal part-time park maintenance and Richard Perello for seasonal part-time Mill Creek Golf and Learning Center maintenance.
Great. Thank you very much. Any questions for Ms. Marsteller? Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
A motion was made by Mr. Bach and seconded by Mr. Olet. Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Olet, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes. Motion carries. And now, Ms. Marsteller, you were going to give a report.
Thank you. Yes, I just wanted to give a brief update on some happenings within the Parks and Recreation Department. So the Mill Creek Made survey of early 2023 provided insight that roughly 45% of our residents in Mill Creek saw the benefits of improving parks and green spaces as a way to foster a sense of community. These sentiments, along with the directive of the 2018 Embrace Mill Creek Plan calling for a master parks plan, sparked an initiative to start formally documenting what our residents liked and what they wished could be improved within the Mill Creek Parks and Recreation system. In late 2023, Mill Creek Township's Parks and Recreation launched a strategic planning process. There were multiple in-person public engagement opportunities as well as a community survey that helped guide the formation of the plan. Now that strategic plan is largely completed and soon will be ready to be presented to the board. The public gave input through a survey that gathered 519 responses, which was a statistically significant number for Mill Creek Township, as well as 105 in-person responses at 3 open houses across the township. The primary themes in these public comments, and by extension the key focus areas of the plan, are community engagement, connectivity and walkability, and targeting our investments. Further detail on these focus areas will be provided soon in a detailed presentation to the board about the strategic plan. The Parks and Recreation Department is excited to pursue and execute the strategic plan. Our programming has become increasingly desired, and now enrollment has become competitive for many of our classes. We just opened registration for summer programming, and several programs are already filled to capacity. As with the past several seasons of quarterly programming, we are anticipating the majority of our classes to sell out. Last year, the Parks and Recreation Department served just under 3,000 residents through programming delivered by our department. We provided event space for 182 rentals last year at 5 of our park rental spaces. This year, we are on track to surpass that number, actually. While the demand and popularity of our services is growing, our program growth is limited most by facility space. The Parks and Recreation Strategic Plan has highlighted key areas of public interest and importance and has provided great insight and recommendations on how the Parks and Recreation Department can grow and expand our services. Following the strategic plan will help Mill Creek Parks and Recreation make the most of our opportunity for community outreach.
Great. We can't wait to see the presentation.
Thank you.
We're very excited. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, training requests from the Planning and Development Zoning Department. Mr. Waldinger.
Thank you. The 2024 Association of State Floodplain Managers Conference will be held on June 23rd through 27th. I believe it's somewhere out on the West Coast, but there is a virtual option for the conference. I'd like to recommend the virtual attendance of Matthew Puz Jr., who is our certified floodplain manager. The cost for an early discount virtual registration is $660. It does give floodplain managers an opportunity to obtain continuing education credits to maintain their certification, so Matt would gain those to maintain his CFM status, as well as giving up-to-date information on emerging trends in floodplain management. It would be my recommendation to approve the request for the $660 conference fee, providing Matt an opportunity to retain his credits, and that would be taken from the Planning and Development training budget.
Great, thank you. Any questions for Mr. Waldinger? Do I have a motion to approve the request?
So moved.
Second.
Motion was made by Mr. Olet and seconded by Mr. Bach. Any discussion? Mr. Olet, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes. Motion carries. Next, we have from the Community Relations and Sustainability Department, Ms. Stutzman, with a training request.
Thank you. I am requesting permission for 2 CRS employees, Monica Ziegler and Jim Schaefer, to attend the Professional Recyclers of Pennsylvania Props Continuing Education classes in Bellefonte, PA on May 22nd and 23rd in order to obtain their core classes and CEUs for a prop certification. In the certification, they would take classes on Recycling 105, 430, and 985. The rate for this 3-part class is $505 per person with membership status. With a 2-night hotel stay, $122 per night plus tax. Tuesday, May 21st and Thursday, May 23rd will be used as travel days, and use of a township vehicle is requested. Meals and incidentals calculated by gsa.gov for 2 travel days and 1 full day is $172.50 per person. This training total of $1,010 has been budgeted for under the 2024 training line expense, and the travel total of $833 has been budgeted under the 2024 travel expense.
Great, thank you very much. Any questions for Ms. Stutzman? Do I have a motion to approve the training?
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
A motion was made by Mr. Bach and seconded by Mr. Olet. Any discussion? Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Olet, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes. Motion carries. Executive sessions were held on April 15th, 17th, 18th, and 24th of 2024. On April 15th, personnel matters were discussed. On April 17th, personnel matters were discussed. On April 18th, personnel matters were discussed, along with the discussion of litigation matters related to federal lawsuits, EEOC claim, permitting disputes, and tax assessment appeal settlements, as well as real estate matters related to park and rec facilities, the lease of township property, easements on township property, and property donation. On 4/24 of 24, personnel matters were discussed. There was also discussion of litigation matters related to federal lawsuit and tax assessment appeal settlements. Real estate matters were discussed related to park and rec facilities, easements on township property, lease of township property, and property donation. Solicitor Communications, Ms. Caparosa.
As I have already spoken quite a bit this evening, I have nothing further.
We can never hear you enough. Okay, looks like we do not have a student ambassador report today, but we'll move to number 27 on the agenda, which is citizens to be heard. Each citizen will be given 5 minutes to speak. And if you could please state your name into the record. You do not need to state your address, but please write it down on our sign-in sheet.
My name is Sue Weber. I'm going to read a statement, then I'll hand each of you a copy. Melanie, congratulations. I know you've worked hard. Congratulations. I know you've worked hard, and I know you do a great job. Also, congratulations on joining the Manufacturers Association. We belonged when I was on the board, and we sent a number of employees through supervisory skills classes, and that Manufacturers Association also helped us write our employee handbook. We did have one. Several weeks ago, a group of Mill Creek citizens, including myself, made an appeal through social media and mail, asking various Mill Creek residents to support requesting that the Mill Creek Township Board of Supervisors place a government study question on the November 2024 general election ballot. The appeal provided historical information on this issue, which showed that next January will mark 13 years since a government study was undertaken, along with the fact that nothing was ever presented to the Mill Creek voters for consideration as a result of that study. Also provided with that appeal was a list of Pennsylvania's 25 most populous townships, along with their forms of government. This appeal has been met with positive response from residents, community leaders, business owners. The consensus is that asking the voters if they would like an in-depth study to examine all forms of government available to serve them, including the present form, along with a recommendation as to what form provides the means for Mill Creek government to operate as economically, efficiently, and transparently as possible, is a good idea. Also, that the voters operating in a forum that involves open public meetings where citizens could view their ongoing work as well as offer input would be very beneficial to the residents of our township. It was expressly understood by those who voiced support for this endeavor that any recommendation made by a government study commission would be placed on the ballot for voters to approve or disapprove. Mill Creek Township is a business which serves over 54,000 residents. Successful businesses constantly compare themselves with their peers to ensure that they are operating as efficiently as possible. Therefore, we ask that you vote to place the following question on the November 5th, 2024 general election ballot. So Mill Creek voters can decide if they want this study conducted and for them to choose who will serve on the Government Study Commission. The question is, shall a Government Study Commission of 7 members be elected to study the existing form of government of Mill Creek Township, Erie County, Pennsylvania, to consider the advisability of the adoption of an optional form of government and to recommend whether or not an optional plan of government should be adopted? And I will say that if you study it, you'll see every government study that occurred, that is occurring now or did occur, the municipality involved, the elected officials voted to put it on the ballot so that the voters could decide if they wanted that study. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Waldinger. Thanks.
Thank you.
Any other citizens to be heard? You have 5 minutes. If you could please just state your name into the record, but you'll write your name and address.
Yes, my name is John Marska. I was here a few weeks ago talking about code enforcement issues that I wanted to bring up, and I referred to the Mill Creek Township International Property Maintenance Code, and I believe I was correct and stated that that's not the proper code. The code that you use is a UCC. I'm not sure if that's right or wrong. Under code enforcement, it does state that you use the international, the ICC. But either way, I can't find where your employees are certified with the exception of one. The chief code enforcement officer holds certification with the ICC, but I don't see where any of the other code enforcement officers hold any certifications either with the ICC or UCC. And I'd like you to look into that because I don't believe that they can do code enforcement duties without the proper certifications. And I'd like to make sure that they have that. And the proper certifications are also for the Director of Planning and Mr. Waldinger. From him on down needs to have code or certifications. And I'd like you to look into that to see if I'm correct or wrong. I could be wrong, I don't know. It's good.
Thank you. Any other citizens to be heard? Okay.
I have one.
Last on our agenda, we do have a statement from Supervisor-elect in recognition of the Mill Creek paramedic.
Okay, tomorrow marks a 25th anniversary for the Mill Creek Paramedic Service. Obviously, they're one of the township's greatest assets, and 25 years of service to the community and literally thousands of lives that they've touched over that time period. It's invaluable to the township and, to the area itself. They're not only responding to incidents within Mill Creek Township, but obviously many of you have heard the EMS issues going on throughout the county, and they're responding, countywide also, and they're doing a phenomenal job. So I want to take this time to recognize, all of the past employees of MPS and all the current employees of MPS for a fantastic job, and we look forward to working with MPS and the fire departments into the future. So if we could have a round of applause for MPS and congratulate them.
Happy 25 years. Thank you for what you do for our community. Okay, without anything else, it looks like I will have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I'll second.
And Mr. Olet, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes. Motion carries. Meeting adjourned.